Welcome, friends, to another episode of Haunt Talk. Today we will be reviewing Kings Island's Haunt.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you who have been following the channel, we did Cedar Point about a week ago, and we loved it. It was way better than we expected it. So we knew we were doing Kings Island as well, which Kings Island is the closest theme park to Cedar Point, and also of course owned by Cedar Fair. Now I know that people, there's going to be different management teams that handle different events, so obviously the person that does Kings Island Haunt's a completely different group of people than would do like Cedar Point's Haunt.
Right.
We went there, expecting about the same quality as Cedar Point or better, because I've heard really good things about it. And we also got fast passes for it, and thank Jesus we did, and I have footage of the crowd, which I'll be inserting somewhere around here. I have never seen anything like it.
So many people!
It was wild. Like, oh my god.
Giant can of sardines. Like, just so many.
Like, most of the wait lines had to be over 2 hours that night.
At least.
But yet, no one seemed to have a fast pass besides us. Well, there's a couple of people that went.
Yeah.
But, we would just walk up to the front. I mean, there was one, it was the Cornstalker, I think is what, or Field of Screams is what they called it. Field of Screams is what they called it. We didn't bring a brochure of it, did we?
No.
Oh, well. And it was just absolutely crazy. We understand that that's a thing. So the scare zones, unfortunately, we didn't really get to see much because they were just clusters of humans.
Just so many people.
Just clusters. So, I saw a couple of actors, because we walked through all of the scare zones. We walked through all of the scare zones. Except I saw a couple other people get scared by him.
Someone used me as a shield.
Yeah.
In one of, an actor actually used me as a cover to scare people. She was hiding, first she was standing next to me like she was besties, and then all of a sudden she was behind me, and she would just pop out from behind me as I was walking past people, which, hey, that's cool. I don't mind.
Yep.
It was fun.
But so for the scare zones, we're going to have to, it's going to be hard to judge them. We're basically going to be able to judge them and how they look because, like I said, the people were in that part. The houses are going to be easier for us to judge them. There are 9 of them, and we did do all 9 because that Fast Pass let us, we got through all of them an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have to wait in the lines. But, I'm telling you, if you didn't have that, you maybe could have got 2 to 3 houses done.
Oh, my God.
If you got there anytime after, actual, because they weren't crazy at 6, but soon as, it officially started at 7:38,
yeah,
the whole park was just, it had to be close to, an at capacity limit, if they even have that, but...
Yeah, and we left at, a little before 9, and there were still people coming in.
But, so that's just kind of that. We're going to go ahead and get into the review now, but that's kind of what started the experience for us, so we're going to try and... When we did the review and all the scorings, we take that kind of stuff into consideration.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Sets and props. This was a mixed bag. And we're also doing like we did for Cedar Point, is we're combining everything together. All 9 houses and the scare zones, just the park in general, to kind of give an overall consensus, and that's what the score is based off of. So, park-wise, there's a lot of decorations.
Yeah.
They're not the most, I wouldn't say they're the most professional decorations, but they're definitely kind of old spooky decorations.
Yeah. I mean, they had some stuff that Cedar Point has. If you've been to Cedar Point for their Halloween thing, they have these giant skeletons. It's actually the thumbnail for the Cedar Point one. They did have those there.
Yep, they had those.
I
don't know if they had as big of ones, but yeah, they had big ones.
They had one of the big ones,
yeah,
one of the ones that was sitting down. I did see one of those. But then they had, they did have a lot of hearses. I do have to say, this park had, a million hearses everywhere.
All the hearses, yeah.
All the hearses. And tombstones galore.
But you know what they had more of than hearses, Kim?
People.
Fog. Oh.
Fog. Okay, never mind.
Fog.
Fog. All the fog.
I have never...
So much fog.
Even the places that weren't scare zones, there was just fog everywhere, which was probably my favorite part because I just love fog. But there is so much fog. There's fog everywhere you went. The whole park is just fog, and that was really cool. And it
was.
It sucks because my favorite part of this whole experience, and we'll talk about the houses here in a minute, was the ambiance of the park, which got ruined by the amount of people. Obviously, that's not Kings Island's fault.
Yeah, no.
I mean, and I expect it to be busy, but you couldn't walk. You couldn't walk.
Yeah, you couldn't.
I mean, it was a beautiful night out, and that had to be why, and everyone had to have the same idea. I mean, damn.
There's so much fog.
So, we'll kind of run down some of the houses here. They had blackout. You hold a rope. It's a blackout house.
Yeah.
They had it open in the day, which they shouldn't have done that because there's sunlight that came in and a lot of it. So the only part that was actually blacked out was when you got to the back part of the haunt, and the rest of it you could see, which I figured they would have thought of that and actually made sure that it was completely blacked out, but you could see a bit in there. It actually wasn't bad though. They had some stuff that would mess with you.
Yeah. Yeah. The one wall. I didn't like the one wall. I don't want to ruin it, but I didn't want to touch it.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say is because I unfortunately got to be leader of the rope for our group. So then I'm of course telling everybody, "Oh, we're turning left. We're making a sharp right," things like that. And they told us to keep the left hand on the rope, right hand on the wall. Yeah. I did not want to put my hand on that wall. Right. And I saw it briefly because of the little bit of light that was coming in. It showed it, and I was like, nope, no.
Yeah.
Not doing that.
Yeah, and they had things on the ceiling, and they had little stuff that hit your ankle that would turn on, and that startled me.
That was scary.
There weren't many actors in there. There were a couple, but then after that we did Wolfpack, which, holy crap, should not be open in the day.
No.
So we went, because it's literally in an old ride queue. I forget which ride at the moment. But there's no ceiling on it.
Yeah.
It was daylight. You could see everything. Like it wasn't lit properly because the lights wouldn't work. Cause, it would work, but it was daylight, so it didn't have effect. You could see everyone's rubber mask, and there's even the person controlling the giant wolf puppet. You could see, and I think this haunt was one of the cooler ones actually.
It was really neat. From what we saw for the sets, because we saw them all.
Yeah. In every single detail that we should have seen and shouldn't have seen.
Yeah.
It just made it look really rough. But still, and the actors are pretty good. None of them really got me too much because I could see them, but they were aggressive. They were popping out, and there was quite a few of them in that.
Yeah, I did get one really good scare in there. He did come out from someplace that I did not expect.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the next one was Killmart. That one was the best.
That was good.
Killmart was my favorite. They got me multiple times. It was probably one of the longest ones, too.
Yeah.
At least longest was Substance.
Yeah. It's basically like a play on Kmart, but it was Killmart. And so it's an old, department store. So you have lots of, shelving and
there's, all the kind of different, a toy section, a camping section, all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely my favorite. They scared me a lot in there. That one was my favorite of all of them.
Yeah.
And then they kind of started getting lumped together a little bit. We did the Blackout one after that, which was the one that's in the Tomb Raider the ride. It's themed Egyptian and stuff like that. They give you a glow stick.
Yeah, it was. I think it was supposed to be almost like a, an antique somebody who collects old stuff. You know how and a museum of the macabre kind of stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And I would have liked to actually seen the stuff. Yeah, the Tomb Raiders crap. Yeah. But all we had was this glow stick.
And they did this at Cedar Point with the Hexed one, which I said we didn't do actually this year. And it's no, you did all this set design. I understand that all it is they've had this haunts for a while and they didn't want to make a new haunt. So well, let's shut the lights out, give people glow sticks. Now we're going to say new type of thing, and they give it the opposite of a fresh coat of paint, but it's kind of a different experience, which I'm not a big fan of, but it was one of the better ones.
There were a few things in there that were really
cool. There was cool, and there were some people that kind of startled me.
Yeah, the heads.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say is heads.
And then we went to Slaughterhouse. That one was decent, not nearly as good as Cedar Point Slaughterhouse.
No.
It was very gross though, lots of grotesque stuff, and I do appreciate the theme parks actually being grotesque. The props in there they were decent. They were decent.
Yeah.
And then that was the last one that we did that was actually decent.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. What was the one we did after that? We did the nurses one.
Oh yeah, Urgent Scare.
Urgent Scare.
That one was okay.
That one was okay. The sets in there weren't the best. And one of my biggest gripes, and this is the one that really irritated me, is like the actors. So you have to push yourself through, and like between every single room, there's like plastic sheets you push yourself through. But the actors also hide behind the same looking plastic sheets.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll walk into a room you don't mean to, and you're like, crap. And like the one time the actor grabbed and like pulled it from me. I'm like, what the heck? And they're just kind of pointing. I'm like, oh, like it's just not that well designed. And Cedar Point did such a better job designing the haunts, like where the actors are just in the room, and there really weren't many rooms you had to push yourself through things. They just had them designed correctly.
Yeah.
So whoever does like Cedar Point stuff needs to like come and help them design their haunts.
Yeah. Like give some direction a little bit.
Because the set design's not the best either. The props they have are a lot of them. It's very rudimentary. Things look unfinished in a lot of the haunts. Because the next one we did was Field of Screams, and
it took us forever to get there.
Oh, it's the longest walk outside of the park. It's like a Horror Nights. If you've ever been to Halloween Horror Nights, it's literally about like that, how you have to walk out. And that line for that thing, I don't even know. Like, I'd be so mad if I waited in it for that haunt.
Oh.
You literally just walk back and forth through corn stalks. The place has a really cool facade, which I think I have a picture of. And I was amped up when I saw the facade. Because they built like a house and like a little barn back there. And then you just walk back and forth through corn stalks.
Boo.
Hey, one section, it breaks up and you go through hay bales. And then back into corn stalks. And literally, like, no one tried to scare us. People kind of got in front of us, but there weren't many actors. A lot of dead space.
Yeah. And then, like, when you exit the haunt, you actually go completely around the haunted house. Because it's just the corn stalks. Right. They could have put people there. They could have added that to the haunt and had people that could have scared you right there. But instead, you just...
Or back to just the bad design aspect. When you're going around, there's an exit right here. They could have designed it so you exited by the, where the exit actually is. But instead, they have you exit down here and then walk. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And the next one, oh God, was Chaos. There's 2 actors we counted in there.
3.
3?
3.
Oh, there was a guy at the beginning. There's 2 at the end, but they were. And this is we'll get to that in actors. There weren't any actors in there, and all it was a mirror maze, but the mirrors are so dirty you could see where everything was. And there's arrows on the floor. You are an amusement park. You cannot do a maze like this because you have too much throughput and people cannot make it through. So you draw arrows on the floor, and then you don't have anything you're doing.
Yeah.
That was all the maze was. It slightly infuriated me. Well, at the very beginning, it was kind of like, I thought maybe, oh, this is cool. It's going to be like a space theme. And then you have like 2 rooms of those themes, and then mirrors. And that's it. So that's all there was for that one. And then there was the Bayou one. I forget exactly what they called it, but yeah, it was a Bayou theme.
Back.
Yeah, something. Yeah, whatever. The Bayou. It was the Bayou one.
Yeah.
And it was one of the outside haunts that they thankfully actually didn't open up till it got dark. Not that it mattered, because there weren't really many actors in there. And there's a couple sets. There's a few puppets that no one was manning.
Yeah.
And that was it. There really wasn't much in there. So yeah, overall, the park themes itself, the scare zones were honestly, the only scare zone that I actually thought was really cool was the Pumpkin Eater scare zone.
Yeah.
The mine one, I can't remember what it's called at the moment, but there's a mine one that's up like in that part where Mystic Timbers is. There were no props really. There was 2. There was the very beginning. There's a little mine cart, and then there's like a little skeleton miner with a.
Yeah, Rivertown Reaping?
Yep, that's it, Rivertown Reaping. And after that, I didn't see, like, any props. It was just fog. There weren't props. And there's Coney Mall and Zombie Mall. There's not a whole bunch of props in those either. Like I said, there just wasn't much.
There was one of those giant, literally a giant animatronics in there.
And they had the big Jack in the Box.
And there was a Jack in the Box.
And they had some circus tents up there.
And they had some circus tents with, like, sideshow posters on them, but there was nothing inside the tents or anything. They were just tents there.
Yep. And
it would have been nice to have, like,
It just felt...
something.
It all together felt like
Put
a
last minute.
Yeah, like a backyard haunt almost. Which we're talking about a level of money here. I mean, the amount of money they made in that night alone, I think it's inexcusable for them to feel so unfinished. When Cedar Point's felt so professional and so finished.
Yeah.
Like, and Cedar Points weren't overly complicated either. Like, they were short, they are, but they were short, to the point, did their job, they were good.
Yeah.
These were just, they felt rudimentary and, I don't know, like, it just was put together by people. I feel, and I don't know, I mean, I have no idea the people that do it, but Cedar Point felt like it was put together by people that were passionate about what they do. Kings Island felt like it was done by people that just want to put some stuff together to make money.
Yeah.
So however it works, that's what it felt like. We gave Sets and Props a 6.5. The house, and because we did an average, honestly, if we were to judge the house, it would be like a 4, but we liked the outside stuff, that would be like a 7, so we combined it like a 6.5.
Yeah.
So we've been rambling on about that. We're going to kind of try and get through the rest of this quickly so it's not 3 hours long. Actors.
There were some good ones.
Yeah.
Like I said, the woman that, she was hiding behind me. She was in the pumpkin eater area. She was really good because she did actually scare me. And then she used me as a cover throughout the rest of the scare zone. There were a few places in some of the better haunts, like the Kill Mart. I got scared numerous times in there.
Yep. So that one was a legit pretty good house.
A lot.
It was the one that was actually really good.
That was a really, really good one. And the actors were really excellent in there.
Mm-hmm. The biggest problem with the actors, and this is a pretty big problem, is, again, this is a theme park haunt. You scare, you say or whatever, and then you go on to the next, or, you know, and they can only do so much with how these houses were designed. They weren't designed the best for what they were doing, but they would follow people. And they're pumping people through every, like, few seconds. Mm-hmm. So they would follow them, and this happened in almost every house, besides Kill Mart, is we would get to the scene, but they'd be following through a hallway, and then they'd come back, and they just look at us like, oh, you came before we got back, and it's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, don't leave your scene. Like, there's not enough actors to, like,
yeah.
Duh.
Back to your mark before somebody else comes in. It's plain and simple, you know?
Yeah, but, like, most of them were decent. They acted well. They, like, whatever who said they had their lines, they said. Not too much just ridiculous screaming. Definitely needed more. There was a lot of dead space in a lot of the houses. I think that maybe Kings Island's overstretched themselves. I don't think that 9 houses is something that maybe they should do. And that also maybe why Cedar Points is better. They only have 6.
Yeah.
Maybe cut it down by 3. Because definitely, like, I don't need blackout. If you're not going to turn the lights on one of them, I don't need that one either.
Yeah.
Disperse. No. Put the actors in the houses. Make the houses you have good quality over quantity. And then those lines can just be doubled and they just go throughout the entire park at that point. But they already were, so who cares? We gave actors a 7.
Scare factor. We're just going to repeat everything we just said. I mean, we only got scared in a couple of places. And, you know, I mean, if you miss your mark, you're not going to scare people.
No, not at all.
Simple.
Not entirely real scary. There's going to be some spots that jump out at you and that, but, I mean, some of the stuff is gory. So, you know, that kind of stuff you might want to keep your kids away from. But yeah, I mean, it's not that scary. They're not super aggressive there.
I'd have to say most of this score is gonna go to Kill Mart.
Yeah, that was the only one that really.
It was the only one that really scared us.
Yeah, it definitely feels a little more family oriented here.
Yeah. There were a lot of kids, I do have to say, which I don't know if that's really appropriate.
I really am so tired.
Little kids, little.
Yeah. You know, I'll say it on this one because I like to not have little rants about things on other haunts, but Kings Island doesn't care. But like put it on the, but if your child, and this isn't something necessarily happened in Haunted House, this one, it happens in other ones, is too scared to go through a haunted house to the point where they're going to stop and just literally crawl on the floor, don't take them in. Your child's not having fun. You're probably not having fun. You're embarrassed, as you should be. And I'm not having fun as your child slamming into me or crawling beneath my feet and ruining my experience that I paid who knows how much money for. Stop bringing your children if they're terrified.
Yeah.
If you don't know if they can handle it, I don't know, make them watch a scary movie. Just take them somewhere. Like, oh my God, it's the worst. It is the worst when you bring your children and they're terrified and they stop and they ruin everyone else's experience that they've paid money for. Because it's not under the haunt's control. The haunt leaves it up to you because they have to. There's nothing that they can really be like, oh, you just can't bring your child in here. I really wish they would. Stop it. Take them to a hayride or something. That's like tame. There's things that are for kids. If it's an event that's not for kids, don't bring them. But the scare factor is not very high in there. Take them through the scare zone. See how they act to that. And then if not, then you can buy it. And then you just go in a house or something.
So, for scare factor, they got a 5.
Yep.
Not very scary.
Not very scary.
Just one haunted house. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, value, now, you do get all of the rides. And it's going to vary on your day. So this was the hardest thing. It's more on Saturdays, less on Fridays and Sundays. Fast passes are $65 freaking on Saturday, which we did because it was the only way we were going to get a haunted house done.
Yeah.
So you need to keep that in mind if you want to do all the houses, especially if you're going on a Saturday. Budget that in.
Yeah. If you're only going one day,
yeah,
then yeah, you need to get one of the fright passes. You have to get that. If you're going like the whole weekend, then maybe you can spread it out.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I would highly recommend getting the fright pass because there's no way you're going to get more than 3 haunted houses done in a night.
But generally, it's not too bad. Like I said, it's between like $39 and like $55. And since that, and the 55 is for the weekend, but you get all the coasters and all that with it. You don't know how busy it's going to be. Plan on it being busy, so we kind of valued it. I mean, we can't take that into consideration with value. So we gave them an 8 because it is pretty good value. It would be higher if I felt the haunts were worth it.
Yeah.
Because you are going to have huge lines for no matter what you do.
Yeah.
All the roller coasters, all of the haunts, huge lines. So, yeah, you just have to take that into consideration.
Even Starbucks had a huge line.
We waited in line for Starbucks for an hour.
Yeah.
Because we're stupid.
Yeah.
That's besides the point. They should have fast pass for Starbucks. God.
Fast pass lane for Starbucks.
Just for food places at that point. Oh, yeah, you couldn't get any food. Like Chick-fil-A
everything
exceeded the queue line. It exceeded the queue line. It was going all the way down into like the main street area.
Yeah, because it's like Chick-fil-A is located like in like right before Camp Snoopy, I think, or like in Camp Snoopy, and it actually like bled in out of that and into the International Street or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, and they had the little queue line as well, but then it just was this big old line too. It was ridiculous, absolutely.
But it brings us to overall, we gave it a 7. Honestly, that's probably a little bit higher than as much as we're talking about. Again, we're taking into consideration the busyness, and I'm sure it can be hard for them to manage this many people. I mean, that's not our fault. That's not really their fault. That's really no one's fault. It just is what it is. We definitely do not have the best experience. But your experience is probably going to be like this. So if all the things we're saying sound like a nightmare to you, I would recommend not going. I would recommend going to Cedar Point instead if you're closer, because at least the stuff there was quality, and their scare zones were a lot better. Because like you didn't have to wait for, a couple of scare zones, which are basically haunted trails in their own right. Cutthroat Cove and the Voodoo Bayou one.
Yeah.
There's not really a line unless it gets too congested and they hold you for a second. But you just can just walk through and get scared. It's great.
Yeah.
And this doesn't have anything like that. They're regular, traditional, more like kind of how Universal does their scare zones, except there's really no decoration. So there's a couple for the scare zones. I mean, they do have decorations all throughout the park, the cemetery and all that. But
their main decoration was fog.
So I'd recommend going on a Saturday, on a Friday, because Sunday you can only stay, it closes early, so you're not really going to get to see the scare zones or that. And they are open to 1 at least, which is longer than Cedar Point. So yeah, just kind of do what you want. Next story. Do what you want.
Discretion.
Yeah, you spend your money how you want to spend your money.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does it for this review. Make sure you like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the page. Leave a comment. Let us know. I'm really curious. What was your experience like if you've been to the haunt? Was it like us? Did we just go on a terrible night? What did you think of it? Do you think we're right? Do you think we're wrong? Whatever. Just be respectful. Don't be a douchebag.
Yeah.
And also like us on Facebook. The link is in the description as always. And that does it for this one.
See you later.